have his face,
Joe.
he's Patrick Mahomes, Zachary.
And he has looked like not Patrick Mahomes the whole start of the season.
Why are you going to a second overtime with this team? You really want a shootout with Caleb Williams?
There's a problem, Kurt.
Don't hate me. Hate the light pole. Don't hate me. Hate the light pole.
If you say the Bucks, it was the Lions. Whatever, they lost. Here's
Beautiful
why.
game, by the way.
Here's why they lost.
I have been on the Lions side since day
I
one.
keep breaking my chair.
Zach just went right
I'm
for
on
Joe's
NCDC's.
chin there. November, it's great. It's a beautiful time of year. The holidays are here. Thanksgiving's behind us. Christmas is next. Truly my favorite time of year. I'll get us up on the screen now. Sorry about that. Truly my favorite time of year. Not even just for, family, friends, fun, but for football. It's great. Football in November is hard to beat. I've said it for weeks now, but it comes at a cost. Championship weekend is already here. With that said, college football is already near its end. We've got one more weekend, and then we've got like half a month until bowl games and then the playoffs, and it's over. It's over. And the NFL follows pretty soon behind that, which is scary. We're already almost through our entire first season of podcasting here. But don't worry, we don't go away when the season goes away.
Hell no.
Season's fading though, and that's scary. But beautiful football is here, and we're here for it. As bittersweet as it is, we've got a lot of great football to talk from this weekend with you guys tonight. From rivalries to snow battles to big-time MVP caliber comeback wins. Football fans, welcome to Under the Lights, episode 12. I'm your host, Ethan. To my left, that's Joe. To my right, that is Zach, per the usual. We got a great episode for you guys tonight. We're on to episode 12 here. Before we get on to college football is what we talk first half of every episode. Before we get on to that, I want to talk to you guys about some format changes. First things first, if you enjoyed our one episode of Hoops, forget about it. It's gone. We're scrapping. We're gonna scrap the Hoops podcast at least for a while. We're gonna focus on Under the Lights. We're gonna focus on making this product the best we can make it for you guys. We're gonna focus on football talk for you guys until we establish a little bit of something here. Until we make this the best we can make it for you guys. That said, lives are also done. We're gonna still attack 2 episodes a week, but they'll be in different formats. Monday or Tuesday for you guys. Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. That'll be the reaction show. We'll react to everything that happened over the weekend. Thursday night football, Saturday, Sunday, all those games. We'll react to that. Thursday will be more, Friday for you guys, will be more the prediction show. That's where we'll predict the games for the weekend. We'll do our spread to spread. We'll do our power ratings, all that stuff. That will come Thursday. All of our predictions will come Thursday. Monday/Tuesday, we just recap what happened over the weekend. That will be the new format for our podcast network here. And those are the changes that we're making going forward. So with that said, before we get started, I got to ask you guys, per the usual, scroll down, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss another episode. If you're listening over on podcast, follow it over there. Let us know how you're feeling there. I think you can comment there. I think there's a little Q&A thing at the bottom. Rate it though. Let us know how you're feeling about the episodes. That's the most important to us for sure.
Give us some love.
But with that said, let's get right into college football. Championship games are set, boys. Championship weekend it's here. The games are set. We'll give our quick reactions as to the matchups here. We'll predict them Thursday, but we got Oregon-Washington, the matchup we've wanted a rematch for a while. We've got Oklahoma State-Texas. We kept at least one of Oklahoma-Texas out of the big game there. But Texas is probably still going to win it. We got Georgia-Alabama. Stupid excited for that game. Michigan-Iowa. And then we got Louisville-Florida State.
Iowa Days, by the way.
Those are our matchups. Those are our Power 5 matchups. There's not a lot of Group of 5 matchups that really excite me. But those are our Power 5 matchups. Which ones are we most excited for out of these?
For me, there's 2 that stand out, and it's the Oregon-Washington one. Obviously, we've been talking about that one for what? 4 or 5 weeks now at this point.
About 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah, and obviously the Georgia-Alabama one does, but honestly, the one that excites me kind of the second most is that Oklahoma State-Texas one. I think this Texas team comes into this game having a lot more to prove, and obviously they come in as like the odds-on favorite to win this. But people need to stop sleeping on Oklahoma State. They've looked pretty good. They've got a solid offense. Their defense is good, and I think they've got a chance in this game. But I won't spoil anything for Thursday.
I think we're all very excited, obviously, about the Oregon-Washington game. Like everybody said so far, I think Iowa, just winning that garbage conference. Congratulations. Get to go into a game against a really good Michigan team.
And JJ McCarthy's about to have 400 yards.
Good luck. And also, I do like this Louisville-Florida State matchup. I know I said it last week on podcast, and I think this Louisville defense can actually do something to this Florida State team. If Florida State loses, no hope for college football playoff. That being said, yeah.
Louisville got dropped this weekend for the fifth straight time against Kentucky.
That game did not look good for Louisville. They did not look great.
My thoughts are obviously Oregon, Washington. Watch out for that game. Obviously, we're all stupid excited to see that one. Don't count out a Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State-led Oklahoma State team going in as the last wall against Texas, Oklahoma. Don't count them out for sure. Penn State beat Iowa 31-0. Michigan beat Penn State by about 3 scores. So, anyway.
Iowa by 40. With all that being said,
we're not talking about Georgia and Alabama.
We are not talking about Georgia, Alabama. No,
a game though.
I think that's the one I'm most excited about.
I'm going to be honest. I think that's like the one I'm least excited for, just because. Hear me out. I mean, we're talking games like we just talked to Michigan beat Penn State beat Iowa, Auburn lost to New Mexico State, Alabama would literally put up 167 on those guys, and then they almost lost to Auburn.
All right, we'll talk about the Iron Bowl in a little bit. The Iron Bowl is different.
Relax.
The Iron Bowl is just different.
I'm just saying.
No, Georgia, Alabama really excites me. There's 2 things with that Georgia-Alabama game. One, Kirby Smart's got just a ridiculously good team again. This Georgia team is dominant in every aspect of the game, and if you listen to Kirby talk about this team, he thinks this is the best team he's ever had because these guys are unselfish. There's not a bona fide stud on that team. There's just not. It's a bunch of guys that want to win football games, and that's what they do. That's exactly what they do. And that team scares me for that reason, that you've got a team full of 5-star talent that doesn't care that they're 5-star talent. They just want to win football games. That terrifies me. But, you got a really young Nick Saban-led Alabama team. They got a chip on their shoulder. So that game really does excite me as well. I think we could see a lot of blowouts championship weekend. I'm not going to lie. That Oregon-Washington game, I think, is going to be your closest one. But I feel like we might see a blowout-packed weekend. But who knows?
I'm kind of thinking the same thing. These games are either going to be blowouts or they're
really
going to be
no
last second window field goal.
No in between.
That's what it's going to be. Or it's going to come down to a punt and the guy muffs it and then they get lucky on another touchdown. But it never happened before, so maybe not that one.
Let's talk Michigan, Ohio State. Michigan won their 3rd straight against Ohio State this weekend. There are Michigan seniors who will get to raise their children saying they never lost a game to Ohio State because 2020 the game got canceled for COVID. So there are Michigan seniors who can say they never lost to Ohio State. They won on a late game interception, 130-24. We're really not here to talk Michigan though. Michigan, they're going to beat Iowa. They're likely going to the playoff. Congrats. They're probably going to get a 1 or 2 seed. We can expect that now. Ryan Day has lost 3 straight to Michigan. He's now lost 1 to Michigan against a backup coach. He's now lost 1 to Michigan with what many think is his best Ohio State team. I argue that because last year was very good. Is we'll get to our second question. First question, is Ryan Day on the hot seat? I want to hear your thoughts before I give you guys his record.
Yo, I'll let you go more. I don't know Ryan Day's history as much.
We're talking about a guy who got handed the job after Urban Meyer led this Ohio State Buckeye team to a national championship, multiple college football appearances, winning a bunch of ball games, beating Michigan every year, whether it was in the Big House or in the Horseshoe, did not matter. Ryan Day is not having the same success as his predecessor, Urban Meyer. And, that's okay. He's still winning a bunch of ball games. He has his bad games like Urban does against, pretty middle of the pack teams. But if you can't get over the hump with a team like this, where you actually have a defense that actually can play, who's to say that next year maybe Kyle McCord's going to, develop more, and Travion Henderson's obviously going to be there still, and maybe the defense still progresses. You give him another year, maybe, we'll see something out of him. But he hasn't won in the college football playoff. I definitely think he's on the hot seat for sure. Like, dude's seat is sizzling hot. Even if he's won 10 games a year, does not matter.
Joe already.
What temperature are we talking?
All right.
Oh,
let me
okay.
Let me give you guys. No, I understand fully what you're saying. I'm going to give you both sides of the coin here.
Settle down.
Ryan Day is 55-8 at Ohio State. 3 of his losses obviously are to Michigan. The rest of them pretty much are in the playoffs. He's one season removed from being on the wrong side of a last-second touchdown from being in the national championship. And he probably would have been a national champion last year because they went and played TCU. But either way, so you can look at that 2 different ways. You can say, how could you fire this guy? How could you assume that the grass is greener on the other side? How could you get rid of a guy who is 55-8? Or you can look at it on the other side of the coin. 1, this is how important this rivalry is to Ohio State. You've lost 3 straight. 2, you can't win the big ones. All of your losses are where it matters most. Congrats. You're beating up on the Big Ten West. You're beating up on lesser Big Ten opponents. You're winning your preseason games. You can't win where it matters. And at the same time, you've lost 3 straight to the team your school hates.
Has dominated for years and years.
I don't think there's a hotter seat in college football.
I agree.
That's where I'm at right now with Ryan Day.
I couldn't agree more.
That's where I'm at right now with Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Of a conference, especially if you're on a team like the Ohio State Buckeyes, they literally get to call themselves that.
They do.
He gets to call himself the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I don't know if he really deserves that title right now, to be 100% honest with you.
Not knowing as much as the history of college football, because I didn't watch it beforehand, admittedly, I say he's gone. Get him out of there.
Zach says he's gone. I like that. I just think people need to understand. People need to understand 2 things. They call themselves the Ohio State for a reason. They are there to compete nationally. Clearly, they're not. 2, the importance of the game. That is the biggest rivalry in college football. You got to win that one. You cannot lose 3 straight in that game. Michigan was losing coach after coach after coach. They brought in Harbaugh to win the game. He's doing great.
He couldn't do it for 3-4 years.
Exactly.
Though.
Now it's Ohio State's turn to get rid of their guy, strike back. That's just how these 2 teams operate. Even if they don't win natties, at the end of the day, that's their Super Bowl. Ryan Day is gone. I don't see a world where Ryan Day is not coaching at a different university after this season. But, we'll see. Pac-12 title game is set. This is the one we want to talk about. I know that for sure. The odds might surprise you a little bit. Washington survived a scare this weekend to beat Washington State on a game-winning field goal, 24-21. I don't know
What
if
a
y'all
game.
saw the clip. Michael
That was
Penix
a great
Jr.
game.
He couldn't watch the final kick. His head
Birdie
was in the
was
phone
hiding.
booth. With Oregon's rivalry win over Oregon State, the game's set. The game we wanted to see was set. What's crazy, Oregon is favored in this matchup by 9 points. On a neutral site, Ducks are favored by 9.
I'm going to say it. I like it. I'm cool with it. I think this Oregon is the hottest team in the country. I think no, that's not true. I think Georgia is. But I think Oregon, they're
Let me
cooking.
piggyback off that, though. You're saying they're the hottest team in the country. Bo Nix has 22 touchdowns in his last 5 games. Oregon is giving up under 20 points per game since the Washington game, which is some of the best in the country at defensive production. They have the highest graded offensive line in the country. They're first in passing production, second in scoring, and 7th in scoring defense. Oregon quite possibly is the hottest team in the country since that Washington loss.
I don't want to say it either, but more further for Oregon, Michael Penix Jr., since the Oregon game, has significantly been putting up lesser numbers, not as flashy, big plays, not playing as well against, defenses he should be shredding like he did Oregon. He put up a really good game against Bo Nix and what was, at the time, the battle between like the two of the top 3 guys on the Heisman race. Now, Michael Penix Jr. has definitely fallen off, but that doesn't Washington still won every
Still a
ball
great
game
team.
this year. They still won every ball game that they played this year.
Yeah.
Still walked into the championship. That being said, I completely agree with both of you. Don't be surprised when
this game's
Oregon
out of hand.
just fucking.
I could definitely see a blowout here, but and I could also see a down to the wire game. Something that stands out for me that I saw with this game, Washington since that Oregon game, their run production has gone from 70th in the country to 155th. Their run defense has gone from, I think, around the 60s to, again, that 150 range. So both sides of the run game have just fallen off a cliff. Like you said, Penix Jr. has not been putting up Heisman numbers since that game. This offensive line, not only are they hurt, but they're currently one of the worst in pass production in the country. Oregon's going to eat that up. I think Vegas is onto something with this 9-point favoritism here. I really do.
That's the other thing I was gonna say is the other thing is the Washington's defense not only has Penix fall off, but the defense is also falling. I mean, if you look at how they were playing against that Oregon team, they're not going to give up 21 points to Washington State if they're playing like that. And sure, 21 points doesn't seem like a lot, but 21 points against an Oregon. If Oregon puts up 21 points and their defense plays the way they're playing, Oregon can put up 21 and win that game by 10.
Yeah. The biggest thing to me is Oregon has seen progression. Washington has seen regression. And that is not what you want to see in November
Being about that regression
out of Washington. Predictions will come Thursday. But I think we're all on the same page with this game as of right now.
Said, Washington by 40.
I think we're all on the same page as far as this game goes right now. Zach, let's talk about that Iron Bowl that you were mentioning before. Iron Bowl never lets us down. Never lets us down. Auburn's going to win the football game. It ain't the only thing that's came out of this rivalry. Crazy games happen left and right. No matter what Auburn team is on the field, no matter what Alabama team's on the field, this game's crazy. 2 years ago, this was double overtime. Auburn won it. Last year, I think it came down to a crazy play as well. 3 years ago, Alabama blew them out. And Alabama's won this game 8 of the last 10, but it's always a stupidly crazy game for no reason. And I think we slept on that a little bit going into our predictions for this game last week. But regardless,
trash.
Alabama won 27-24 on one of the craziest plays we've seen this season. Bama had the ball first and goal at the Auburn 7. Fumbled snap. lost them 18 yards, followed by an illegal forward pass. Did we see the illegal forward pass, by the way?
Yeah.
This dude was like
Yes.
4 yards over the line. of
4
scrimmage.
yards downfield, throwing the ball.
Now you got
Yeah,
4th
you
and
go.
31. 4th and 31 or 4th and 32. I think it was 4th and 31, but either way.
It was 31.
Okay, 4th and 31. And
That's just a
here's my
beautiful ball.
gripe. Auburn, this was my first thought on this play. Auburn, if you are going to rush 2 guys and refuse to get any pressure on a play like this, maybe your prevent defense should be good enough to not give up a dime like that in the back of the end zone.
That
That
was
was
nuts.
beautiful.
It was
That was a
dang near.
ball.
It
That
was
was
a
a
ball, but it was
beautiful
dang
ball.
near
That was beautiful.
uncontested. Could he have defended that much better? Not really, because
Not
that ball was
really.
perfectly placed.
Yeah. That was
But-
beautiful.
Come on, you've got 10 of your 11 defenders in the end zone. How is that guy one-on-one? Anyway,
If I'm being honest, I think you got to rush. Like, this might sound crazy, but you got to rush at least 4 guys.
Why
3,
not?
4 guys.
they only sent 4 on routes. The others are
Yeah.
decoys. Why
Just
are you
come
not
on.
why are you not
And
getting a
then the
pass
other
rush in there?
guys, just put them in the end zone.
Yeah.
Who cares if they get a 10-yard little slant and then do the pitch and throwing it backwards and juking? It's worked one time, and that was in Miami.
Put 4 guys on the 10-yard line and 4 guys on the goal line.
Yes.
And then get
And
some
be like,
get
hey,
some
if an
pressure
Alabama
in
defender gets behind you, your scholarship is gone.
there.
Yeah.
There is no reason you let up that touchdown.
We have any concern for Alabama after this game? First and foremost, I say no, because again, this is the Iron Bowl. We've seen what Alabama's done in the last 5-6 weeks of football. They've looked great in November, as they should. The Iron Bowl tripped them up a little bit, but they were on the better side of history this time. They got it done, and that's what matters. It is hard to win football games. It is hard to be 11-1 going into championship weekend, but here they are, or 10-1 going into championship weekend, but here they are.
I was going to say, we could have had a completely different narrative had Jalen Milroe not placed that ball precisely where it needed to be. Like, Alabama could have easily lost this ball game at the end of the day, and they didn't. Now we get to see a really good Georgia team play a really good young Alabama team and have a good SEC championship.
That
All
we
I'm going
do.
to say is I could have caught that punt. I could
Okay.
have caught that punt.
Technically, by the way, Alabama should have won that game by even more because there was a near pick 6 at the end, but he decided to run out of bounds. But
Mhm.
either way, I don't discount Alabama because the Iron Bowl effect is real. That's what college football fans need to understand, is that game is always going to be nutty.
Always.
With that said,
I'm going to say it kind of disappointed me. I wanted to see a blowout. I wanted to see Alabama just prove that they're one of the best teams in the country and just kind of hand it to them.
what
But
the
whatever.
Iron Bowl proves to me is that all rivalries should be played the last week of the college football season.
That I will agree with.
As an Iowa State fan, this is not me saying Iowa State would beat Iowa if we played at the end of November. I don't know what the outcome would be. Would it be a little different? Maybe. Would we still be down in this series by like 40 games? Probably. But either way, I think better football games happen in the month of November
At the end
than
of the
in
year.
the second week of the season. I think all rivalries should be played this late in the season. And the Cyhawks, about the only one that's not.
But if you think about it, like, like Iowa, Nebraska is also a really big rivalry game, and that's also Big Ten.
True.
So, like,
It's tough to replace that one in rivalry weekend for sure.
and like the past few years, I think I could argue that the Nebraska-Iowa game has been better than the Iowa-Iowa State game. They've both been really good, but the Iowa-Nebraska game, bro, they had a backup kicker. We don't have this on here, but they backup kicker came in and kicked a game-winning field goal for his first ever field goal in college football.
That was a
That's
mallard
crazy.
of a kick.
That's
Do you-
a bold strategy.
Do you still think that would be a good game if Nebraska played them at the beginning of the year, though?
No,
like if they flipped it.
Nebraska sucks at the beginning of the year, and Iowa usually plays good at the beginning of the year. For some
that's
reason.
the point.
They don't play good. Iowa just plays
football.
Iowa just plays such a simple system that they don't need 5 weeks to get going. It's the same thing every single year. All right, guys. Run right, run left, run right, punt. Great.
Hey,
defense,
your punter's one of the best in the country.
Defense, do your thing. I mean, that's...
Defense, do what you got to do. Give up a 65-yard touchdown to Chubba Purdy. Why not?
That's Iowa football right there. But I don't know. I think
Chubba Purdy's balling.
I think if it's possible, any, if not all, rivalries should be played late in the season. But Zach, you raise a very good point. Replacing the Heroes game with the Cyhawk, it would be a hard one to get done for sure. With that said, Texas A&M's hiring journey is finally over. I don't know if you guys saw a lot of this in the news this weekend. Mike Elko was not the first candidate. Mark Stoops from Kentucky was the first candidate. They had the dude all but hired. The deal was done. He had even partially announced something. But then the donors and the people on Twitter bullied them out of it. Literally threatened to take money away, said they don't want him as their coach. Twitter was blowing up. It took 15 minutes. This dude's name was trending in a negative way. About 20 minutes later, Texas A&M said they're not hiring Mark Stoops. And the next morning, Mike Elko's name was brought up. And Mike Elko has now, I believe, signed his contract. So Mike Elko will be the next coach at Texas A&M. Is this the right hire for Texas A&M?
What did Mark Stoops do? What did he do? Why?
He pissed off some fans, man.
Stoops is the winningest head coach in Kentucky history, as much as that's worth to you. But the winningest coach in Kentucky history is 73-64.
Winning record.
It's not like he's doing a ton. Granted, Kentucky was not a football school. He came in and he's had 10 very good football seasons by Kentucky standards. Put him in a place like Texas A&M where they've got infinite resources. Maybe he can do something. But Mike Elko is that story, but a little bit better. The dude came to Duke, who in the 3 seasons prior to Elko had 10 wins combined. And he came into Duke 2 seasons, went 16-9. They went to back-to-back bowl games, something they hadn't been to in 8 years. Now they're going back-to-back. I think Elko, he's a very good coach fundamentally. I don't know how well he necessarily recruits. He's more of a training type coach. He's more of a development type coach. But, you put him in Texas A&M's facilities, not only is he going to develop those guys, he's going to continue to possibly use those infinite resources to recruit who he needs to recruit to win games. I still think you could have went for a much bigger name at Texas A&M, but maybe a big name is not what that school needs. I don't know. I like the Elko hire. I'll leave it at that. I like the Elko hire. I like what he did at Duke. I like the potential of what he could do at Texas A&M. He's a lower name for sure, but bring him in there with the resources A&M has. Let him cook a little bit. See what he can do. Maybe a big name is not what Texas A&M wants this time around.
Especially after this whole Jimbo Fisher, escapade that has been happening for how many years. I think fresh blood is just exactly what needs to happen at Texas A&M. I think a new culture. They just need to start competing again in the SEC, and this, Mike Elko could be that guy.
They gave Jimbo a blank plaque, man. They gave that dude a blank plaque and said, "Here's for your national championship." That's how big of a name he was coming in.
Give him back Johnny Manziel, dude.
Elko ain't getting any blank plaques. He's going to come in and he's going to get right to business. But Elko also notoriously isn't going to take shit from the donors, and that tends to be a problem at A&M because A&M is donors. That is who is going to be in his back pocket. That's who's going to be in his ears at all times, telling him what to do. I don't know how well he'll take that because notoriously he doesn't, but we'll see. That said, Texas A&M, get out of here. Let's talk Snowmageddon. Farmageddon plus
game.
snow equals Snowmageddon. What a beautiful game, man. What a beautiful game.
What a game.
I don't think there's any real way in words to explain this game, so let me just give you numbers instead. ISU ran count them, you can count them on one hand, just 2 plays in Kansas State territory, but scored 42 points. That's their second highest offensive production of the season. ISU ran just 35 plays to Kansas State's 102. K-State compiled 32 first downs to ISU's 10. The Wildcats had 42 minutes of possession to 17 minutes, and ISU averaged 13.9 yards per game.
Let's take a guess who won that game.
Iowa State won that game 42-35. Had touchdowns of what? 76, 71, 68, 65, something like that.
Well,
it was in those ranges, but
I don't know how to say
71,
that running back.
73, 76.
My
I don't know how to say
goodness.
the running back's name, but he had what?
Abu
3
Sama?
runs at-
And
Yeah, he had what? 3 runs for like 150 some yards.
190 some, I believe. Well,
Yeah,
his 3 runs were that, yes, but his total on
Yes,
the day was,
Yeah, that's absurd.
That is insane. That is insane. Flashes of Breece Hall running it for a touchdown on the very first play from scrimmage against K-State. Looks like Matt Campbell's got another great one there.
would like to see it.
That dude is a running back factory. I would love to call Iowa State running back U right now, but it's tough to not give that credit to anybody but Matt Campbell. That dude has been a factory for running backs. He produced 2 of them at Toledo. I don't remember who the second one was, but Kareem Hunt came out of Toledo.
He also had was he there for David Montgomery?
Yeah, but that wasn't really his. But either way.
He had David Montgomery and Breece Hall then.
Yeah, David Montgomery, Breece Hall. He's probably going to have Sama. We'll see, obviously. He's a freshman.
How do you say his name? What's
Abu
his name?
Sama.
Abu.
How many more can Abu do? That was the best call. That was the best call of the night.
Okay, that's silly.
I love that one.
I mean, it was awesome.
Hey,
The announcers
next time-
had fun with that game. Shout out to the
that one. Let's shelf that one.
Shout out to the announcers
Maybe
of that
come back.
game, dude. They were presented one of the craziest games of the year, and they
It
had
was so
fun
cool.
with it.
They did really good.
They did really well.
I was at a 21 and older bar.
Okay.
'Cause I'm an adult and was watching that game, and being where we are, people were going nuts.
I don't doubt that at all. The elements just make football games so much better. I mean, that was a beautiful game. That
Not a Big
No, it
12
was-
game though. Not a typical Big 12 game.
no, and
Where
it
you
was
usually see dominated by defense and hard battles and one in the
Mm-hmm.
trenches. This was a shootout and it was fun.
high
You know
scoring
how
per
hard
the
it
usual,
is to
but
play defense in
in
snow?
the snow, you got to think the offensive
It's
player
fair.
is always 5 steps ahead of you. They know where you're going. You don't know where, or they know where they're going. You have no idea where they're going, which is true at all times. But now you're in the snow.
The
In
thing
the
that's crazy
snow.
about that is like they had obviously a literal bucket of snow was being dumped on the field every half a second. And K-State still threw it for like 45 times and had like 300 or 250 some yards.
That's what was
That quarterback,
frustrating me.
he was kind of balling.
That's
What
what
is
was
it,
frustrating.
Williams or
Will
whatever?
Howard.
He-
Will
he-
Howard, yeah.
Will Howard.
Will
I knew
Howard.
Will was. He
He just
was
transferred.
doing all right.
He just transferred
was
this
doing-
afternoon. He's a
Crazy.
grad transfer. He's already a senior, so he just got one more year.
He was a super senior.
Yeah, he was.
And Rocco Beck was just putting numbers on his head.
Settle down, settle down.
Yeah.
Rocco Beck didn't have that many yards.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
He had like 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. What are you talking about?
He ended up having 300 yards.
He had big plays too.
70
Oh,
yards.
right. Yeah. Okay. Because, he had like 8 completions. That's what I was.
Yeah,
I was
yep.
like
Yeah.
in my head, thinking he had 8 completions. I was like, "There's no
He
way."
probably had like
300
he had
yards,
probably
but
had
then-
like 200 some yards, not 300.
But I was gonna say because I looked at it and he was
Ew.
like, he was at like 3 of 6 or something like that, 3 of 5.
3 of
and-
his completions equaled out to be like 170 yards.
which
I do
is
remember-
nuts.
In my defense, remember where I was. So
In my defense,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like, dude was just like
8 for 12, 230 yards,
Yeah.
3 touchdowns.
A drop
absurd.
down slant that was a 10-yard, 12-yard route goes the distance.
That's been our
Dude,
bread
that
and
sounds
butter all season, dog.
kind of sounds like
deep ball down the sideline.
Tyreek Hill.
Touchdown.
That doesn't-
That's been our bread and butter all season, is that little play action slant there. But
Sorry, Joe. I didn't mean that. I love you.
Hey, Tyreek Hill's a dog.
snow games are beautiful,
is.
dude. Open up.
That was a fun game. That was a fun game.
Open up the Georgia Dome or whatever they call that in Atlanta. Let it snow in Atlanta. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but let it.
I was saying,
Not gonna happen.
And let Georgia, Alabama be a snow game. In fact, bring them to
Georgia.
Iowa. Bring them to Iowa.
Bring him to Iowa.
that game was in Manhattan, wasn't it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it
couldn't
was.
see the field.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I guess never mind. I know
They
it
can
was in
come
Manhattan
play at
'cause-
Valley Stadium. Bring them to Iowa. That's what I want to see. Let's get to that's college football. That's college football. Let's get to halfway heaters.
One
It's back.
segment.
It's back. We got 2 hot takes this week, and they're hot. They are hot.
That first
hot.
one's crazy.
But before we get to those, I want to ask you guys, if you've made it to this point, again, subscribe. Let us know how you're feeling about the episode. Interact down below. We want to interact with you guys. We'll comment back. We'll show you some love. If you're listening on podcast, you've made it to this point, follow over there as well. Give us a rating. Let us know how you're feeling. Let's get to halfway heaters. Halfway heaters is the halfway point in the episode before we get into NFL. We're going to rate your guys' hot takes, the fans. You guys, you leave them down below or you send them to us directly, which is where most of these come from because you guys are scared. What are you scared for in the comments? Anyway.
Yeah, what are you scared?
We got 2 takes and they are scorching today. We're going to rate these real quick. First one, this will be the first college football playoff without an SEC team. Here's where it's possible. Michigan beats Iowa.
They literally plane crash.
Michigan beats Iowa. Washington beats Oregon. And FSU beats Louisville. Those are your first 3 teams in. Without a doubt, they'd be 12-0 conference champs. You cannot deny them a playoff appearance. Then Alabama has to beat Georgia. Obviously, 2 of those 3 first matchups are already tough, but then Alabama has to beat Georgia. If Alabama beats Georgia and Texas beats Oklahoma State, Texas and Alabama would suddenly be the argument for the next spot. Texas at 11-1, Alabama at 11-1. Texas beat Alabama earlier in the season. So your playoffs would then be Michigan probably at the 1, Washington at the 2. I feel like they would probably put Texas at the 3 and Florida State at the 4.
That's not a bad shout. Now that you're reading off some
It's
things.
not. It is wild.
But-
There's a lot that has to happen. I wouldn't parlay this if you held a gun to my head, but
But
it's not out of the realm of possibility.
But what's crazy is would they really keep out an 11-1 Georgia team?
If they don't win their championship game, you don't have a choice because Texas and Alabama did. That's their precedent, is you win that championship game.
it's still scalding hot, like
It
on
is
fire take in my-
definitely scalding
It's
hot.
on. I was thinking it's on like getting thrown in volcano hot. Now it's
Yeah.
like you're standing on the edge, kind of teetering, about to fall. Not
Now
as
you're
hot as
just-
I'm thinking.
Now you're just sweating because the
But-
village people are about to sacrifice you. You haven't fallen
Yeah,
in
that's
yet, but
that's
you're
where I'm
up
at.
there
Like they're
for
up,
sure.
they're climbing the hill with the pitchforks. They just haven't made it all the way
I
yet.
still, I still think this is just this take is on fire. Like,
absolutely.
If that all happens,
If that all happens,
know
it's a
what?
guarantee. This take is 100% correct.
if that all happens, whoever sent power to them, you know, they
Power
deserve
to 'em.
something.
That is an electric take because it is not out of the realm of possibility, but a lot of great college football games have to happen for that to be a possibility. So, I mean, I'm here
That's
for
crazy.
it. I'm all here for that because that means we get an electric game out of Florida State, Louisville. We get the best game of the year out of Washington, Oregon. And Michigan beats Iowa. And then Texas beats
that would
Oklahoma
be-
State. And then we have Alabama upsetting Georgia. I mean, that's an electric weekend of college football. I'm all here for that. Do I think it's going to happen? No. That is a 1,000,000 out of 10 hot take right there, but not out of the realm of
I
possibility.
don't hate it.
I love this next one. CJ Stroud will make a Super Bowl on his rookie deal. He's got 3 years left. He's not making it this year, obviously. I don't even know if they'll end up making playoffs, but he's got 3 years left. And here was the basis for this take. Stroud's got 3 more years. He's got young wide receivers who I know, Zach, you say are not up to par, but he clicks with them. He loves his receivers.
I was not saying they were up
No,
to
I get
par.
you. I get
was
you.
not saying they aren't up to par. I'm saying they weren't, and he has made them.
He's got
That's why
young
argument for
receivers
MVP.
who he clicks with. He's got a serviceable defense. They're not great, but they can be improved upon to where they would be significantly better. They have 8 draft picks this year and currently 4 for next season. So they've got stock to work with. And they have not only do they have a favorable division depending on how the Jags are playing football, their scheduling as of lately is favorable enough to fight for that 1 to 3 seed if they're having a good season. If they win 5 or 6 games this year, they're going to have a stupidly favorable season or schedule next year to where they could fight for that higher seed just simply based off of beating lesser teams. I think this one is scalding as well because this is a very young team. What I think this take comes down to front office and coaching staff. The leaders on this team have to be up to championship par. I don't know if that is currently feasible for the Texans.
Is it D'Amico Ryans? Is that?
Yeah.
I think pretty confident that's answer. I like him. I think he's smart. He's a good coach. He knows how to coach an offense. I think the defense needs a little work. Defense it's solid. It's not Super Bowl caliber, but I mean, dude, CJ Stroud, he might be one of my favorite quarterbacks right now in the NFL. Obviously, he's behind my guy Jared Goff. I'll stand behind him till the day I die. But he is fun.
You know
and
who
Tank Dell is scary.
You know who Kurt Warner calls the best 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right now? The 2 quarterbacks who he believes are playing the best football. He puts CJ Stroud at number 1, and he puts Brock Purdy at number 2. Those are the 2 quarterbacks he thinks, in his eyes, are playing the best, most consistent football right now.
And we're talking about guys who are in their rookie year / second year in the league. Like
that's crazy. Now, granted, after the 2 weeks Jalen Hurts just had, that's a tough argument.
Bro, his overtime touchdown, we'll talk about it in a minute, but his overtime touchdown screwed me in fantasy.
I put up 52 points this week, so not too great there. But no, scalding hot take.
I don't hate it. I think if they can get a couple pieces on defense, we are talking serious contenders. I mean, they're already competing. Granted, the AFC South is a lackluster division, but they're already competing with a team a 7-3 team that everyone's thinking is the next coming of the prime Patriots.
Yeah.
And which I don't like. I don't like Trevor Lawrence, but that's neither here nor there. But I mean, they were a couple blown penalties away from winning that game. There were some bad penalties in that game that they very easily could have won that game.
Yeah. Shot themselves in the foot a little bit there.
We can't discount the Colts in the South, really. We got Anthony Richardson coming back next year.
If the dude can stay healthy.
Taylor's been playing, I'm discounting it with Gardner Minshew being in there because I don't think they can compete with Gardner Minshew.
Fair enough.
And I'm not gonna lie, Titans, they looked.
You know what?
Pretty solid this week, dude.
All 4 of these teams have really good young quarterbacks and young teams. Yeah. So this division might just be a powerhouse in the next few years. But
it very well could be. I think I was watching ESPN, and they were comparing NFL teams to NBA teams. And the Texans, the big comparison was to the Thunder. And if you think about it, it's pretty accurate. Young core, talented young core. Obviously, the Texans are a little bit better than what the Thunder are right now. But, Thunder are actually solid. But they have the draft picks. They have the coaching. I don't hate it.
Who's their Josh Giddey? Anyway, let's talk Cowboys. Cowboys have won 5 of their last 6. Are the Cowboys playing the best football?
You can put him in the thumbnail.
Are the Cowboys playing the best football as of right now? CeeDee Lamb is the number 1 graded wide receiver in the last 6 weeks. Since that comment he made that he's the best receiver in the NFL and we clowned him, he's proved it every single week. That is wild to me. Cowboys have a 213 to 102 point margin in the last 6 games. Here's my problem with the Cowboys, and here's my problem with the Cowboys every year, is their losses are to the Eagles and 49ers. To the 2 championship contending teams they've played, they have gotten blown out. The last time I can remember the Cowboys really competing against teams like that is when Zeke was in his prime and this team was the scariest team in the NFL for 11 weeks of a season. But beyond that, this team every single year, their struggle is when they get to that big game, they cannot get over the hump. And I love this team. I love what Dak is doing. That dude might be also one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He's playing some incredible football. But this team just can never compete in those big games.
I mean, that's very true. But I mean, what this team is doing, they've got an MVP
candidate for sure.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. In Dak Prescott, they got CeeDee Lamb, who's looking like he could be an offensive player of the year
for sure,
and they've got Deron Blanche, who's looking like he can be defensive player of the year. He's got more touchdowns than some of the best receivers. Bland, yes. He's got more touchdowns than some of the best NFL receivers right now.
There are several elite corners, Hall of Fame corners who never surpassed 5 pick sixes in their entire career, much less 2 or 3. And this dude's got 5 in a season. Talk about a ball hawk, dude. That is crazy.
Not to mention, they're also doing this without one of their other best corners in Trayvon Diggs. That defense is scary.
That's been the whole reason why Deron Bland has been getting thrown the ball.
Yeah.
He's stepping up, saying, "All right, we're gonna throw at this guy," and he says, "Go ahead,
do it,
at me,
do it,
see what happens. I'm returning it for a touchdown."
One other thing I want to point out about the Cowboys is their 3 losses. The Cardinals, I'm ruling that one out because that was just a very bad game.
Yeah,
they didn't play well.
49ers
also another really bad game, and the Eagles, they competed. They lost by 5. That was a really good game. Those 3 games have all been on the road. That's where I think they need to step up the most. Right now at home, they're averaging 41 points.
Yeah.
That's absurd. And they're shutting teams down to less than 20 points from what nobody at home has scored over 20 points on them.
You want to talk about the dangers of going to Seattle? You want to talk about the dangers of Arrowhead? Jerry World is a hard place to win a football game. Those fans are nuts, and they play good football there. They just do. When Jerry's watching, you perform.
If they get the 1 seed, NFC needs to be scared.
I will say this, though. I agree with Ethan. This Cowboys team is looking like a lot of the same Cowboys teams from old, where they win convincing games during the regular season. They have a bunch of wins, and then when it gets to actually needing to win the big one, they don't pull it out.
Yeah.
Which, in the past I feel like it's been a lot of coaching problems. Jason Garrett wasn't the guy.
No.
Plain and simple. Jason Garrett wasn't the guy. Can Mike McCarthy get over that hump with this Cowboys team? I would like to see that, honestly, because Mike McCarthy's still one of the best head coaches, and he got ran out of Green Bay, and all this other stuff. Wasn't competing, wasn't doing what Mike McCarthy does as a head coach. Now back with another team in Dallas who is completely behind this guy. They love Mike McCarthy in Dallas right now, and rightfully so. But I agree. I think he has to get over that hump. I think the defense has to show up against these teams that can really just score offensively, just like how their offense can just score at this point.
Kellen Moore, their OC, he's smart. He knows what he's doing. He wasn't there no more. Pardon?
He's in LA.
He's in LA. You're right. You're right. You know who doesn't know what they're doing? Speaking of coaches and LA coaches, Brandon Staley, get out before you ruin Justin Herbert's career. I was looking ahead.
Yes.
at a Schwages thing.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore did play for Dallas. He was quarterback.
And he was the quarterback's coach, and then he was the OC for a handful of years.
Yep. And
listen, I'll tie it to college football. It took Kirby Smart a while to get over that hump of Alabama, but when he did, he never looked back. Them Cowboys get over the hump of the good teams in the NFL. That's a team with the weapons, with the money, with the pieces to never, ever look back. So, like Zach said, watch out for them. I don't know if it's the year, but watch out for them. Another team to kind of watch out for right
with
now.
all that being said, Eagles by 40.
Denver Broncos have they've won 5 straight now. I didn't know if we'd revisit it this week, but we're going to revisit it this week. They're now tied for the active longest winning streak in the NFL with the Eagles at 5 straight. They just put up 30 points, 29 technically, on the NFL's best defense in the Browns. Not only that, their offense is putting up 300 plus yards per game right now. In this 5-game stretch, obviously. Their defense is forcing 3.5 turnovers per game, and their turnover margin in the last 5 is +9. That is insane. This defense is finally starting to do what it's supposed to do. This Broncos team right now, to me, they still don't look scary. I'm not going to use that word with the Denver Broncos, but they've got a favorable enough schedule going forward that this team could sneak into that playoff picture. They're still not even in it yet. If the season were to end today, they're still not in the playoffs. But, keep winning games like they are, and they could sneak into that wild card spot. Does the streak continue against the Texans? They go on the road to take on the Texans this weekend. Does the Broncos streak continue?
Last week we talked about the Detroit Lions and how I was saying that I'm not worried about any games on the schedule except for Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
This Denver Broncos one is one that has now been starting to make me a little more nervous, especially with the way their defense is playing and the way Detroit's offense is playing. Not talking about Detroit. I don't think the streak continues in Houston because CJ Stroud does not turn the ball over. He has faced good defenses, and he has shown that he is going to ball out no matter who he's playing against. I think it stops. I think it's going to be one of the best games this weekend. And that's definitely a game you definitely need to tune into because I think it's going to be a good shootout game, but I think Texans have the edge with CJ Stroud. That being said, watch out for Denver.
Watch out for Denver.
As much as I hate to say it, this Broncos team has been looking good pretty recently, and Russell Wilson's been putting up a bunch of yards. Jerry Jeudy's finally looking like a good wide receiver again. I love their running back. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna skirt around it. Javonte Williams is one of the best running backs in the league.
He's hooping,
and he will continue to show that. I'll live and die on that hill. That's a hooper. But I don't want him. I don't want him in there. I don't want him to quit winning ball games. Broncos.
Joe, don't worry. I'm looking at your remaining schedule, and the Chiefs.
We don't play them.
They don't. I know you don't play them. You also don't play anybody, so don't worry about it. You should be all right. You should win the division just fine.
Anybody. They don't play nobody.
And the Broncos got a pretty tough one coming up this weekend. I also think the Texans could end that Broncos streak because at the end of the day, peel back the layers, it's still the Broncos. They're playing very good right now.
They got 70 points put up on them.
We've seen the ugly side of the Broncos. That side is still there. Like Zach said, CJ Stroud does not turn the ball over. He just doesn't. The kid's smart. He delivers a very good football. Play calling is in his favor enough to where he's not put in a position where he has to throw a ton of them. Dude throws a beautiful ball, though. I just don't see that same game happening for the Broncos this weekend. A lot of their wins recently, the Chiefs game, they forced 5 turnovers. Like that's a tough one to stomach if you're the Chiefs. I don't think they do that against the Texans.
You want to talk about that one again? Hang on before we get.
We are not going back. We're not going back 5 weeks right now.
About that game.
We're not going back 5 weeks right now.
I can't say anything, bro. We just lost the Packers.
I think the Texans.
I'm sorry, Joe,
I didn't put Jordan Love in this episode, by the way, but that dude is balling right now.
Hey, we're not talking about that trash can
Anyway.
of a human being. Not human being, a deaf quarterback. Well, I didn't mean that. He's not a bad human.
I like Jordan Love a lot, but either way, I don't know. I think the Texans could beat them, but let's talk about the Eagles. I like to throw this in here. at the end of episodes just to see what your guys' thoughts are on the Eagles.
I'm gonna start crying.
They won they won an overtime thriller this weekend against the Buffalo Bills. Jesus. To advance to the Buffaloes. To advance to 10-1.
Colorado.
Jalen Hurts' 5-touchdown day propels the Eagles past the Bills, along with a QB scramble game-winning touchdown. Josh Allen is now 0-6 in overtime games in his career.
This is the first overtime game that he's gotten the ball first.
Still lost.
Shouldn't have.
What are our thoughts on the game? What are our thoughts on the game?
Fantastic game. I wish Gabe Davis wouldn't have thrown and ran his correct route and scored a touchdown and won in overtime, so I didn't lose in fantasy because of a Jalen Hurts 20-yard touchdown run at the end.
Josh Allen was 100% in the right there, though.
100%.
And the announcers even said it. In that situation, he should have gone inside. Just turn your head and the ball is there.
If that's Stephon Diggs, that's a touchdown and they win.
Gabe Davis,
he's got the experience.
He should be able to recognize that the pressure is coming screaming in. You've got one-on-one coverage. Turn your head inside. The ball is going to be there. Why are you going to the corner of the end zone in that situation? But he did, and the Eagles ended up winning the game. Thoughts on Jalen Hurts' performance in this game?
That does scare me.
My thoughts are this: can somebody please beat the Eagles? Like the amount of close games that the Eagles have played all years, and they said it after the Chiefs game. Jalen said it in a post game interview after the Chiefs game. They still haven't played like a complete.
No, they have not played their best football yet.
Ball game, like they still haven't played like clicking on every, checking every box. They still have yet to play their best football.
You know what that comes down to?
Me, that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
This is the Jalen Hurts revenge tour. Everybody keep watching.
You know what that
Eagles.
comes down to, and why I don't think the Eagles will win a Super Bowl? Because of Brian Johnson's conservative ass play calling that puts us in poor positions so many times throughout games. It's terrible. Look at the Eagles.
Needs to not be as prevalent
it's
in that.
Terrible.
In that offense,
There's a reason.
Let's hang on a second. Let's just be all honest. Just do the brotherly shove every play, and you're going to get 3 to 4 yards and get a first down.
Jalen Hurts has the highest yards after catch by a quarterback by a significant margin because of their play style. Let this dude play. Let A.J. Brown play.
Let him throw the ball down the field.
The first time the Eagles won a Super Bowl, it was because Doug Peterson was ballsy. The dude wanted to win games, and he put them in positions to win games at any cost necessary. And they did. True. And this team is not doing that. This is one of the most conservative Eagles teams I've ever seen. And they've got the best weapons arguably on any football field right now. Maybe not true. You've still got the 49ers up there. But they've got some of the best weapons on any football team on any field right now. And the play style they play does not make sense.
A.J. Brown can go up and catch it with any quarterback in the league. Just let the man cook. Jalen Hurts has shown that he's got a cannon
the ball.
And he can be accurate.
Yeah.
Yep. Let the man throw the ball downfield.
You've been seeing deep shots to Devonta Smith a lot more, which was not really in the offense prior.
Yeah.
It was more of an A.J. Brown, like, vertical threat type offense.
He doesn't get those targets anymore.
Devonta Smith downfield, where A.J.'s just getting those short screen, like, pick plays, just getting him the ball, trying to get him the ball in, like, short yardage territory. Obviously, he's a big body wide receiver. That's, it's good to have those guys catch the balls in short yardage, but also when you have the speed and strength and the just ability that A.J. Brown has, playing the game,
route running ability of him is crazy.
Playing the game of football to him is just like a walk in the park. So you just need to get that guy the ball.
Yeah. I understand teams like getting the ball to their best player, but on this offense, every single one of the star players, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and like DeAndre Swift, and Dallas Goedert, they can all be the best player on an offense on any given night. Let them just go and just like in junior high, just go have fun, and they can put up 50 points on
I think
teams.
the Eagles need to attack more vertically as well. I think your only check down targets, AJ Brown is a beautiful check down target because that dude in open space is one of the best in the league. But DeAndre Swift should be one of your only check down targets. That dude can make things happen. After
They
that,
also got
attack the field vertically. They're just not doing that at all. Eagles are
They also
like
got the Zacchaeus, whatever his name is. That's a very good check down artist as well. He's shifty.
Eagles are like
Olamide
27th in the league in
There you
explosive plays. The Philadelphia Eagles, with the weapons they have, they're like 27th in the league in explosive plays. That's not acceptable.
And I'm pretty sure their offense was like number 1 in explosive plays last year.
Yes, they were number 1 going into the Super Bowl in explosive plays, and it's just not there this year.
And it's not like some teams I would understand, like the Texans, I would understand not being like a deep ball team because they don't have an offensive line. The Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in football.
Yeah.
They have one of the best centers of all time. They have 2 great guards. Like, let the team play.
They did lose their offensive play caller in the offseason.
Very true.
So, it could be just, getting accustomed to the new system and trying to get it all to work.
Yeah.
Brother, it's week
For
13.
But that's the thing. Like they still haven't all put it together, and they're 10-1. Like they're 11-1. Like this is a Super Bowl caliber team, and probably will be there at the end of it.
Are the Eagles a team? Are the Eagles a team of destiny this year, or will they fall short again?
With all that stuff being said, Detroit by 40.
Are they a team of destiny, or will they fall short? Is it Jalen Hurts' revenge tour, or is he not getting it done?
I want to see Jalen Hurts' revenge tour get at least to the Super Bowl, and obviously not win because they're going to be playing the Chiefs again in a back-to-back year. So we better get a second Super Bowl dub.
This man went from saying the Chiefs aren't making the playoffs a couple weeks ago to saying, "Give me the ring."
Let's be honest right now, though. Look at the AFC. It's between the Ravens and the Chiefs, and if the Chiefs make it, I really don't see Nick Sirianni beating Andy Reid twice in one season, especially in the Super Bowl.
If the Chiefs make it, the Ravens had to have fallen off a cliff.
The Ravens have their shaky games as well. I won't give my opinion on this one because it'd be a biased one. Eagles by 1,000,000. I hope they win the Super Bowl. If they don't, I hope Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl. Y'all already know that. Jalen Hurts was my MVP pick in like week 3. Still is right now, especially after the last 2 weeks, but doubling down on that. I don't know. I don't want to call them a destiny team because there's still too many things that this team needs to figure out. But we can say that and also at the same time say they're 10-1. So that's a scary thought as well. Let's get to Parlay Party. Let's wrap this episode up with Parlay Party.
Let's talk about
Parlay
it.
Party. Evidently, the graphic isn't ready here. Parlay Party is the end of the episode where we sit down and we deliver to you guys an NFL Weekly Winners parlay. In the past, we would have only went moneyline winners, and we would have given you 5 of them. We're going to switch that up a little bit going forward. It being a parlay, we want it to win. We want it to hit. So we are going to switch it up a little bit. Not only can we hit money lines, we can hit spreads. We can also hit over-unders. If we think an over is guaranteed to hit and under is guaranteed to hit, we can throw that in there as well. We're still going to deliver you 5, and we're going to keep track of our record there as well. I believe our record right now is 33-23, but apparently the graphic did not want to pop up on the screen. But I believe we are 33-23. So my advice to you is bet these as straights, not parlays. But whatever. Let's get into this here. I got the games up. What is anything sticking out to anybody?
I've been thinking about this since we talked about them. The over under on the Texans Broncos. I think I'm smashing the over. These offenses are both super freaking good. I don't think 44 is enough. I think this is going to be a big game.
You've also got 2 defenses here in week 13 of an NFL season that have the potential to really clash and have the potential to keep this game low scoring as well. And if there are back and forth turnovers, which both of these teams can produce, then we could get a really low scoring game here. So the over under on that one scares me at 44.5. I wish it was down closer to 40. I say we circle back to that one.
I mean, Jags and Texans just put up 45.
Jets The Jets are a dumpster fire right now.
Jets.
I was going to say the over-under on that Jets-Falcons game, I could definitely see it being like a
7-3.
A very
17
low
to
scoring
10,
game.
17 to 10 type
The
ball
Jets
game.
simply
you know what I'm
cannot
saying?
score points right now, and the Falcons don't need to. I think that's
Yeah, but I mean, the Falcons also did look really good offensively this last week.
I just don't think they're
Not
gonna,
really good.
I
They
just
looked
don't think
good.
they're
They
going to
looked
need points against the Jets. And the Jets defense at the
has
same
not looked
time,
good.
Jets defense at the same time keeps opponents low in scoring though,
That's
for the
true.
most part.
They didn't look good the last week. They'll bounce back.
I
They'll be
like-
okay.
Let's attack just one over under. I really like Jets Falcons under 35.5. Maybe just one over under, unless another one looks spicy. But
Dude, the over/under in games kind of scare me because I could see them being both ways. Like the Texans
Yeah.
Bucks Broncos game, I could see that game being like 30 to 28, but I could also see it being like a 17 to 21 game.
what else we looking at? I think 49ers
The other one that I
scares
saw
me.
was this. You guys might not agree with this, but I think Steelers -5.5. I think I'm taking that. The way that Steelers game last week, they were clicking. They're coming off a really good game, and I think they've got all the momentum in the world. The Cardinals just came off a very shaky week. The Steelers, for the first time all season, had more yards than their opponents, which is absurd because they're 7-3
First time after
or
Matt
7-4.
Canada. First time after Matt Canada gets
And-
fired. Like that's
And I mean, we saw they let Kenny Pickett play, and
yeah.
he looked
I
good.
actually really like that one. Steelers are at home as well. Steelers -5.5, and then Falcons Jets under 35.5. Oh, what else? I like Dolphins money line over Commanders. I feel like that's really safe.
Yeah, I feel like that's
So
that's a
that's-
safe one.
That's 3 of them. If we were to attack another over under, I feel like Rams Browns might be one of the lowest scoring games
That's
of the
exactly
year.
what I was. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking.
I think-
Especially, well, I will say this though. I'm pretty sure Myles Garrett is hurt.
Yeah.
He's out. Yeah.
The Rams just haven't been able to produce anything in a month of football.
Hey,
The
they
Browns just
hey,
got
Matt
ran up
Stafford just
on
had-
offensively.
The Browns
Matt
did
Stafford
just
just
get
had-
ran up on.
Matt Stafford just had 3 touchdowns.
The Browns did just get ran up on. Maybe we avoid that one. How about Chiefs money line over Packers? Come on. The Chiefs are at the point in the season where
I
they
think the
have to
Chiefs-
win.
I think, the Chiefs are going to win this game.
They're
Are
at
you
the
saying
point.
Chiefs over 6?
No, Chiefs money line over the Packers. They beat the
okay,
Packers.
that
They're
I
just
can
gonna
agree
win.
with. I thought
Sorry,
you
I
were saying
worded
Chiefs
that weird.
over. Because, dude, I'm not gonna lie. This may be recency bias and me being a Lions, but dude, this Packers, they're legit. They did just. I mean, they're scary, dude.
Yeah, I get you.
Jordan Love looked good.
The Chiefs, I feel like, are at a point in the
I think
season
the
where
Chiefs will
going forward
I
at
hope the Chiefs will
7-3, they're 7-3, right?
Yeah.
I feel like going forward, I'm looking at it. They're 8-3.
Hey, no.
Going forward, I feel like every game right now is must win. You're already at your loss quota, in my opinion. I don't think you want to lose more than 4 if you want to have a shot at that 1 seed. The Ravens are ahead of you by a game right now. Every game right now for the Chiefs is must win. The Packers is a win for them, in my opinion. I got Chiefs money line. We've got Dolphins money line. We've got Falcons Jets under 35.5, and we've got Steelers -5.5. We need one more. We need.
These other games are not ones I like to look at.
I feel like.
You don't like Lions 3.5?
I feel like the Lions bounce back.
To be honest, I do, but I don't, because like the Lions, like they've had 6 turnovers in the last 2 games, 3 in both games, 3 interceptions, and then 3 fumbles. I mean, that's 6 turnovers just by Jared Goff. So
we're basically coming off of like a week of preparation though, like a full week and a couple days. Like played on Thursday, you got like, the weekend to kind of relax or whatever and go through some film, blah blah blah. But then you're gonna have your full week of preparation. Like,
I think Lions bounce back.
Full week.
You know what? I'm gonna stick with Lions by 40.
I like Lions.
Yeah.
I like Lions
Give it to me,
-3.5.
dude.
I think that's a
That's the
touchdown.
Saints.
I think
Derek
Lions
Carr
bounce back.
sucks. Alvin Kamara sucks. Chris Olave sucks. Saints suck. Sean Payton's a cheater. I know he's not there.
That's that's our parlay party. We got Steelers -5.5. We've got Lions -3.5. Falcons, Jets under 35.5. Dolphins money line and Chiefs money line. What would be a garbage shoot? 49ers, Eagles, without a doubt.
49. Yeah.
Don't touch that game. It's a fun game to bet, probably player props, but don't bet that game in terms of winners and losers. I don't like that game at all.
Dude, even I was gonna say if I would say like 46 point over, but I don't even know.
That game could go.
That's another
ways.
one that could be a defensive masterclass or just a Jalen Hurts
with that said,
throughs and puts up 49 and
that is gonna do it.
Over on his own.
That is gonna do it for Under the Lights episode 12. We're gonna come back at you guys. I believe with the new format, we'll be back at you guys Thursday. It will not be live. We'll be back with you Friday then at that point. That'll be our prediction show. So we'll see you on Friday, obviously. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's show. If you did, let us know down below. Follow over on podcast if you're listening over there. If you're going to tail our picks that we display at the end of these episodes, we ask, be smart. Only gamble what you can afford to lose. The only advice I can give you is don't bet parlays. Tail them as straights. We're good on record with those. But, if you're going to tail parlay, have fun. Only bet what you can afford to lose. If you need help, please seek it. We're here to have fun. We're not here to see you guys at the bottom, Bottom line is just be smart. Have fun out there. We love you guys. If you haven't already, again, make sure to subscribe. Become a fan of the show. But we'll see you guys on Friday with another episode of Under the Lights. We love you guys. We'll see you then. Peace.
Doses.